Shut up.
I think we're live. We'll find out. Let me take these off.
Let's go. The take. We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Right. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Yep. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby Smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape. The tape.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up.
Do anything you want. I ain't got no problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network live from Phoenix, Arizona, and what is arguably our most aesthetically pleasing backdrop we've ever had on a virtual show, Jonathan. Absolutely no promises that this is going to sound good or look good, but it's going to feel good. I think it looks good. It's definitely going to feel good doing a show with my boy Jonathan out here in Phoenix. Off to a rocky start this morning, okay? We sat on the tarmac for an hour and 30 minutes. Now, I'm not against that as long as it's the only time, okay? Because if I wait for an hour and a half on the tarmac on the way back, I'm going to have a conniption. I'm going to have a coronary, as my mother would say. My heart's going to explode because I'm going to be so stressed about getting to the Mercedes-Benz Dome in time that if we get delayed at all, I'm tremendously nervous about it. I understand why the big wigs that try to cover 2 games normally fly private.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's in our cards.
No, I don't think it is.
At least not in the deck we've been handed so far.
Right.
But no, excited to be out here. First thought on Phoenix so far. Now, granted, we've only seen like 3 roads.
Yeah.
We've driven like for a total of 5 minutes since we've been here.
Yeah.
But it's been a good time so far.
Yeah, I mean, like as good as the backdrop looks for you guys right now, for those of you that are listening, if we were to flip the camera around, very similar type of backdrop. I mean, there's mountains. We actually got
Morgan had the best analogy for it.
Well,
your wife.
Yeah.
It feels like high school. It feels like the set of High School Musical.
Yeah, High School Musical too. Like
Dude,
if you guys are familiar with
when they're
that
out in
one.
Nevada and they're out in the rocks and what's his name? Troy Bolton.
Troy Bolton.
Troy Bolton's out there. Troy Boltoning all over the rock slide walls or that have all the waterfall falling down from them.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I mean, we're used to staying in like Ramadas Okay, we're not opposed to a Motel 6.
No, we don't usually.
This feels a bit much.
We don't snub our nose too much. So
No, but after this week, you ain't gonna tell me nothing.
I mean, you pull up, it's like, oh, don't worry, we got you'll just follow the golf cart to your room. We'll carry your bags in for you.
Anytime you press 0, the golf cart shows up within 3 minutes.
I mean, you got a Starbucks.
No need to walk out here.
There's all kinds of restaurants on site. We got a media work
Steakhouses.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Anything and everything that you could possibly ask for in a place to host a college football playoff game. This is the place.
Which is why we're here. We're here for a college football playoff game between Miami and Ole Miss. The first note I took and the first kind of feel I had walking around the presser room, Jonathan, I don't know if you felt this. Miami has felt like this, up until this point, has felt like this underdog that kind of snuck their way in, and they've kind of talked about themselves as thus, and they're going to go out and like reset the tone and prove to the world that they deserve the right to be here. I walked around that media room and felt like the people that were there to cover Miami or they're close to Miami, they feel uber confident about this football game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
I even heard, not to cut you off, but I tend to do that. I even heard one media member frame it to I think it was Messidor as, y'all have been playing this lovable underdog. How's it feel to come in here and now everyone's picking you?
I mean,
you know?
To their credit, like how they have played in the playoffs, like I think I saw the stat the other today where they're only allowing like 8.7 points per game now defensively in the playoffs. Now I know that's only been 2 games, and one of those was against the Texas A&M offense that people are already kind of questioning to begin with. But then you go up against an Ohio State offense with all of those weapons and how they've been running this year and how smooth their operation has been throughout the entire year. And then you go out there and play the way that you did in that football game. There's a right to have some confidence about yourselves now, and there's a right for people to be picking you and say like, yeah, like especially because like you mentioned it the other day during our show, like those dudes walked into that game as a 9-point underdog. Like people weren't even giving them a chance.
No,
Vegas wasn't giving them a chance. It was, well, it's Ohio State. I mean, we've seen what they've been doing all year. Miami couldn't even go beat SMU earlier this year. Now they got to go do it against Ohio State. Like, come on, like. So there's a reason why those guys should have some added confidence about themselves coming into this one.
I will say this: this is a little bit different of a destination from a distance traveled standpoint. Budgets cost a little bit more to come out here,
Right.
Especially from the East Coast, being all the way from Miami. I always say that to say much more intimate media availability session than you normally have at these bowl games.
Yeah.
Normally, I mean, it is D to A. It is bumping shoulders. Like you feel like you're at a primetime bar spot normally. I actually had a chance to kind of chat both these coordinators up from Miami, and we'll have the same opportunity in just a few minutes with Ole Miss. We figured we got an hour and a half downtime. We'll get a shot up for the folks back at home. Having a good opportunity to just chop it up with particularly the defense coordinator from Miami. And if you watch them stylistically, Jonathan, they're far more simplistic than everybody else.
Yep.
I feel like. Now, they got better dudes than most people, right? They got better NFL football players and first-round draft picks on that defensive line than an Indiana does, or definitely an Ole Miss does, right? So they don't have to play with as much chaos and confusion. But if you listen to their DC talk about his kind of style, how he coaches, how he teaches, what they prioritize speed, efficiency, and physicality and violence. He said, we don't practice a lot of techniques. Like we don't go through a lot of, you play ball. We're going to get you lined up. You're going to play free. You're going to play fast. You're going to play physical. I wonder how much of that is, though, this being his first year.
Yeah.
You know, he's at Vodtech last year. He gets hired to be the DC this year. Immediate turnaround. They have a lot of success. I wonder if they'll be a little bit more complex down the road. But then again, like, this isn't a football team you even get the opportunity to be complex against in the form of Ole Miss because they play so fast with the offensive style. I thought that was very unique to hear. And I even asked him specifically, I was like, Coach, I look around college football nowadays and everybody's trying to win with chaos. Everybody's trying to win with confusion. And when I turn you guys on, y'all line up and play ball.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, I mean, why would you not lean into that with the roster that you have, especially with the guys that you have up front defensively?
Facts.
Like how those guys play, like they're already disruptive enough. Like you don't really have to add in all these extra wrinkles that maybe some of these other defenses have to, because you know for a fact that Ruben Bain is going to do something on this play. You know for a fact that Messidor is going to do something on this play, or whoever else it is on that defense. Somebody's going to make chaos just being themselves, just being the player and the talent that they are, to where you don't have to add in all these extra wrinkles and maybe put yourself vulnerable to a bust back in the coverage or anything like that, or creating a gap in between your defense.
Simplest way to put it, some people are going to confuse you. We're going to beat you.
Yep.
We're just going to line up and try to beat you. And they've done so to really good offenses up until this point in the college football playoff. I would argue that, like, if A&M and them played on a neutral field, A&M might have an ability to score 20 points, but they're not going to score 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that wind was crazy out there in that football game, and that's only something I feel like you could talk about if you were there, if you felt that 30-mile-an-hour random gust that they got out there. Obviously, I had a chance to talk to Shannon Dawson as well, the offensive coordinator here at Miami. An interesting cat. Not what I thought him to be.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought him to be this like well-dressed, well-spoken, high-class, super smart offensive coordinator. He strikes me more as a guy's guy.
Yeah.
Like got a real heavy Southern drawl. Not like the cleanest of speakers in the world, but obviously knows ball.
Yeah.
Like very, very down to earth. And I think that's something Carson talked about ad nauseum. It's just the difference in like not naming any previous coaches, but this coordinator he's got now very calm, very cool, very collected. No ups, no downs. Honestly, kind of like him, kind of like Carson. Like Carson is this. Carson is a very much so a flatlined individual at all times, and it seems like he's working well right now with Shannon from how they interact with one another.
Yeah, and he showed a lot of love from what I could pick up when Carson was speaking, because they weren't able to have his microphone hooked up, and that's a soft-spoken guy already, so you kind of need that extra oomph when he's speaking. But from what I gathered, I mean, there's a lot of questions that he answered by talking about Shannon Dawson, talking about how those two guys, them two have meshed this year, and how they've continued to grow and develop with one another, and how he really gets to rely on Shannon Dawson throughout football games, because, he kept mentioning how Shannon Dawson has helped him with his approach to adversity, where he thinks that he's gotten better at approaching that as opposed to maybe in his previous years as a college athlete. Whereas this year, he feels like he has a much more calm approach, and he understands like how I need to approach adversity when it hits, because he said like it's never easy to deal with adversity, but it's important how you approach it. And so I think that's kind of something that he's taken from his offensive coordinator is, yeah, like bullets are going to be flying, things are always going to go our way, but ultimately, like, we're going to remain this even-keeled guy that we perceive to everybody else.
Few are better at the quarterback speak at a microphone than Carson Beck does.
He's done it so much.
I mean, my God. And speaking of doing it so much like that, he kept getting asked basically like, where's the development come from? How do you feel like you've gotten better? And to a man, every single answer, every single time he's asked, it's a matter of reps.
Yep.
And I mean, we avidly believe about that around here, just in our business. Like, we're going to get shots up. If we do nothing, we're going to get shots up. Now, we might coach them up, we might get better at them, but we're going to get the reps. The reps matter. And as we get older and older, especially as a quarterback, we see more things. Talked about just like the ability to recognize certain things are going to happen because you've seen them before, right? And you've not just seen them once or twice. You've seen them dozens of times over and over again through, I mean, it's 3 years of starting football now for this guy. He's going to leave college football with almost 40 starts at the quarterback position.
I mean, he even brought up, like, this is his third time playing Ole Miss. Now, it's not the same Ole Miss. Like, it's been different variations of Ole Miss because, that first year it was Jackson Dart and that offense that you had to be scared of. Defensively, they weren't as strong. Then you go and play them the next year, and it's all defense. I mean, that defensive line absolutely tore Georgia apart that next game, and it showed up on the football field. And now this time, it's way more offense, but also he mentioned how he was impressed with their defense. He said, when I went and watched them on tape, he said, that's kind of what I picked on. Was like, they're really good defensively, despite what people kind of think about them. Of like, yeah, Trinidad Chambliss is great, and those guys are making all the plays, and that's the reason why they are here in the semifinal round of the college football playoff. But he's like, that defense has also improved throughout the year, and he thinks that they're playing really good ball right now.
They definitely played a better performance against Georgia than the first time around.
Yep.
I do think but most importantly, the line of scrimmage played better against Georgia.
Yes.
The interior of the defensive line, I thought 52 and 51 kind of took over the football game in the moments in which Ole Miss got stopped. So my concern about them is their secondary's ability to tackle these guys from Miami. That would be my primary concern. Should get Ole Miss in, I think, 5:30 local time. So we got 45 minutes before that. Jonathan, folks think we're in an Airbnb. We are not. We're at the Marriott, what's this called? Camelback?
I believe it is Camelback.
The Marriott Camelback out here in Phoenix, Arizona.
One of these mountains is Camelback Mountain, I believe, is what the valet guy said when he was giving us a little rundown of
Good to know.
everything around here.
Good to know. It's not a hot sun out here just yet. I would imagine you wait until the summer, though, it will be.
Oh, God, yeah, I would imagine so.
It's a good temp right now. It's about 65, no breeze.
Hey, look, any type of weather where you can put shorts and a long sleeve on, that's good weather. That's perfect weather.
You know what I love about our friends over at Roback?
What's that?
Promo code FILM, first and foremost. But I really love about our friends at Roback is like a hoodie like this, good enough in 40-degree weather.
Yep.
A hoodie like this, also rocked in 72-degree weather in the sun. Not have to worry about pitting it out. Like that's real good stuff from our friends over at Roback. Some real good stuff expected in this football game, Jonathan. I think we're about, I don't know, 15 minutes in. I plan to go 40 here.
Okay.
Just be real nice and tight. What are your final thoughts on this football game? We're going to get to talk to Ole Miss. I'm sure we'll have more thoughts and whatnot on that. But what are your final thoughts on this one?
When I talk about this game, it is so conflicting to talk because I picked Ole Miss, and I'm going to stick with Ole Miss because that's what my gut told me earlier in the week, and maybe that has to do with some of the recency bias. Like that's a team that I watched the closest heading into the quarterfinal matchups, and I think that they were the most impressive team in the quarterfinal matchup as well. That's not taking anything away from what Miami's defense did or what their offense did against Ohio State or anything like that, or what Oregon did or anything like that, but from my perspective of considering what the matchup was going into that quarterfinal matchup, how they responded and how they looked. And considering everything that is going on with
I
that
think
program.
that's 100% fair, Jonathan. They're the only one of the 4 teams left standing that faced a deficit.
That's a great point.
Miami jumped out on Ohio State and had them. Indiana skull drug Alabama. Oregon, it was obvious from the second quarter on, oh, we've scored 6 points today. We're good. We've won. You know what I mean? So, it's not, I don't think you're being biased. I don't think you're being disrespectful towards anybody. They had the most impressive win because they actually got tested. These other guys rolled the ball out and kicked the shit out of who they were playing, essentially. Like, I know the Miami score ended up tight late, but that game was in hand for 3 quarters, I felt like, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I mean, even in the analysis, watching on tape, the silent copy on all 22, there's a line of scrimmage domination for 4 quarters. Ole Miss is the only football team left standing that's actually been punched.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any of these other guys, well, since the regular season, right? We haven't seen Oregon get punched since the Indiana loss. We haven't seen Miami really get punched since their loss to SMU, which is another thing I thought was interesting about this matchup is that, if you're an SEC football team coming into this one, or even if you're a Big Ten football team coming into this one, you've probably faced a lot of pace.
Yeah.
You've probably played offenses that play with a lot of them. I mean, if you think just in the SEC alone, Tennessee's running with a lot of pace, Mississippi State's running with a lot of pace, Ole Miss runs with a lot of pace, LSU played with selective pace at times last year, Vandy played get on the ball, run 4 verts type stuff. You're kind of used to getting your cleats in the ground, getting used to this prep and all that. I asked the Miami defensive coordinator, like, hey, who in your league's doing this? Who have y'all played that is going to be a prep like this? His immediate answer was, South Florida's the fastest.
Okay.
South Florida is the fastest. South Florida plays wide choice.
Yep.
South Florida don't do what these guys do. South Florida kind of lines up in the formations that they line up in, and they're going to stay in that the rest of the drive. Ole Miss will get on the ball in attached duos in bunch formation, take a snap, the next play, get in split 3-by-1, like spread, get on the rock, let's go, we're hunting explosives again. So he did mention SMU does this as well. I don't know of anybody that does it as good as these guys, though.
No, I mean, it's part of the reason why they're such a hard prep is because they are unique. Like, well, maybe it is pace, and you see pace from other teams. They do it in such a different way, and they attack you in so many different ways. It's what makes them such a difficult team to beat. But also, like, going back to my point of why I'm really sticking with Ole Miss heading into this game is because, I reminded myself of last year's playoff, and a big reason why Ohio State ultimately went on and won a national title is because Will Howard became the best and most dialed quarterback in the entire playoff. Like, despite how that guy played in the regular season at times, despite what his performance looked like against Michigan.
Despite what the anti-Will Howard deep state wanted to throw out there, despite all of that.
Was locked in better than, any big-time throw that guy had to make for that Ohio State offense, he made it every single time. And that's what I'm being reminded of now going, like, when Trinidad Chambliss, any big-time throw that had to be made or any play that had to be made, that dude was making it. And, Fernando Mendoza's playing good. Dante Moore's been having his moments. Trinidad Chambliss is the best quarterback right now, for my money, heading into these Final Four teams. And that's a big difference in these playoffs. Even going back to the 14 playoffs, like, typically, whichever quarterback is making the most plays for their offense, that's typically who comes out on top.
Have we seen a quarterback go cold yet in the playoffs? Have we seen a guy in the semis go absolutely unconscious, blackout, then the next game suck? It's such a limited sample. We've just gone to 12. So now guys like Carson and guys like Trinidad are going to stack 4 in a row.
Right.
So we'll really get to see that growth. But I wonder if there is, a basketball player goes through streaky moments where they get hotter than a firecracker, and then the next day they can't buy a bucket.
Right.
I don't know if that works like that in football.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you got to kind of be knocked out of the streak, if you will. If there's anybody at the line of scrimmage that can knock him off of this, It is this
Oh,
Miami
for sure.
unit,
And
though.
that's why it's such a hard game to pick, because I do think about that Miami defensive line and how good that defense is playing. And that's what it takes against an Ole Miss offense like this. And if they show up like they have the last 2 games, then Trinidad's performance may not even matter, because that's what they've been able to do throughout the season so far, and especially in these playoff games.
We were talking to Eric McLean before the Miami media availability, and I basically asked him, like, does it matter? Does the line of scrimmage tilt matter? Because I felt like Georgia had them tilted almost as far as you humanly possibly could be from a, now we're gonna whip your ass at the line of scrimmage for 4 quarters on the defense side of the football against your offense, and it didn't matter. It mattered at none at all. Like, there's clips all over our social media feeds where Trinidad's getting the ball out before free rushers, the guys that aren't even getting touched, free rushers are running at the line of scrimmage and 17-yard completions, 35-yard completions, 20-yard back shoulder fade. Like, when quarterbacks and weapon players are playing this well, they do neutralize the line of scrimmage.
Oh, 100%.
Georgia couldn't gotten to them any faster. The only difference is Miami gonna get them on the ground? I think they might have a chance to do that. Like, Ruben Bain's probably the best athlete I've ever covered at 285 pounds.
Yeah,
You're not
so.
supposed to have that kind of twitch, that kind of closing speed, that kind of motor at that size.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to me because, like, I know a lot of people I've seen the people do the thing already with Ruben Bain, knowing that he's about to be in the NFL draft.
Arm length?
It's the arm length. It's like, that dude needs to kick inside. He's going to be one heck of a defensive tackle on Sundays. That dude's going to wreak havoc. Oh, this, that, and the other. Like, yeah, like, he may look like that and he may be built like that, but for that dude, let that dude do what he does now. Like, that's what he needs to be doing, because there hasn't been a single person that could line up across from Ruben Bain yet and could just hold
him for 4.
Yeah,
you can't do it.
It just hasn't happened.
I know it sounds like such a slight when you're like, oh, we're going to have to kick him inside. To me, the best defensive lineman I've ever watched in my lifetime is J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
Okay? J.J. Watt played his first 6 years in the league as a 3-tech. I mean, his first 100 sacks come over guards. So we just got done watching the damn Texas Tech game where Lee Hunter, the 3 technique, total different body style.
Yeah.
The nose tackle is taking over the football game. I mean, I asked Mesidor about it in media availability. There are multiple reps against Ohio State where Mesidor and Bain are playing right next to each other on rush packages, and they're twisting, they're wrapping, they're doing all kinds of chaos. And I asked him, I was like, you ever seen y'all ever line up and look at an offensive line, like, look at y'all like, oh shit, here we go. And he was like, no, honestly, like, when we line up next to each other, I'm not all that happy because we're drawing attention to where we're at. I'd rather just be by myself. And I was like, solid. Based, I think as the kids would say, based on that one. So there's that. That's the best Zoom background I've ever seen. So realistic. Would have to agree. I mean, it's primo out here. Bro.
Oh, 100%.
It's primo out here. I'm glad we did figure the road show out, though. How this is supposed to look, how this is supposed to operate, how this is supposed to feel. My final thought on the football game is I have no idea how to pick it.
When we start talking about line of scrimmage,
because of it doesn't normally this matters, like explosives, line of scrimmage, turnover margin. The explosives and turnover margin definitely matter, but the line of scrimmage seems to not.
And it's funny.
And I don't know how to. And maybe it's just this is what Ole Miss does to my football brain. This is what Charlie Weiss Jr. does to my football brain. I can't wrap my head around what do you actually do other than I gotta have 2 Champ Baileys out there. That's what I gotta have. That's what it felt like at times Georgia had to have.
Yeah.
Georgia had to have 2 Champ Baileys out covering their primary weapons, and then they still might hit a check down for 6.
Yep.
That's what it felt like in the Sugar Bowl. If he's that lights out, they definitely have a chance.
To me, if Miami wins this game, and if people are going to point at the line of scrimmage as a reason why they won this game, I think it's going to be because of the offensive side of the ball. I don't think it's going to be because of the defense side of the ball, because that's where I get really caught up in this trench matchup between Ole Miss and Miami. Is if I know for a fact one position group that I think is going to be able to win against the other, it's Miami's offensive line against Ole Miss's defensive line.
Yeah.
And how do you nullify Ole Miss's offense and their pace and the explosiveness that they have? Well, you keep them off the field, and you do so by stacking really consistent drives. So if Mark Fletcher's able to rip off some big runs, if they're just protecting Carson Beck all day, he's able to rip through these zone reads that he has against Ole Miss's defense, and he's just able to stay calm, cool, and collected and just play on time. That's a hard Miami offense to beat. And if they're just walking it down the field, 10 plays, oh, here's 7 points, 11 plays, here's 3 points, it really can nullify Ole Miss's offense. So if Miami does end up winning this game, I think it would be because their offensive line is the one that won the game, not necessarily the defensive line making all these havoc plays.
And look, Georgia in the last matchup, I felt like ran the football exceptionally well, but they got into a situation where we're into a shooting match at this point. We can't keep 5 yards in a cloud of dust in this. They might score 40 today. We got to go. I don't know if Miami ever feels like that in this football game. You know, you got to create that sense of pressure offensively for those guys over there. I'm with you from an offensive line versus Miami or Ole Miss's defensive line standpoint. Like, I know we're playing on turf, but how many times does Carson Beck's jersey get dirty?
Not very many, unless he's taking a slide.
In this one, unless he's taking a slide. Because really hard to sack, like, because he's getting the ball out. We learned this about him in 17 or in 23 when he had good weapons. Would they sack him 7 times all year?
Yeah, I think he was
something
like 7
that.
or 8.
Because you're just not getting home. They led the nation in third down conversion rates because of what we're talking about. When you got good weaponry, when you've got good pass protection, Carson Beck's going to stay clean. He's going to get the ball out. Y'all going to play ahead of schedule most of the time. Something I talked to Shannon about Dawson in that media availability. He's like, hey, I know he's a great processor. I know he's awesome. He's a tremendously accurate thrower of the football. But how much of a difference did his legs make in that last matchup against Ohio State? Because, my God, Coach, like, I felt like y'all got into what we call manageable counts over and over again because Carson was willing to pull the football down. And he said that's something they've been talking about and continuing to grow throughout the years. Like, hey, man, guys are going to take away what we give them. They're going to, and eventually we got to stress them somehow with what we've got left, which is our legs. So we got to be a competitive runner. Look, he said, I need 5 or 55. That's what I need. I need a 5-yard, like, keep us ahead of the sticks, or a 55-yard completion. When we're calling those types of plays, that's what I need. You know what I mean? And I thought that was an elite way of answering that. They say State Farm Stadium is natural grass. This is one of them, we roll the bitch out.
Yeah, that's
this
cool
one of them,
the stadium.
we roll it out.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember when they played the Super Bowl here, it was super controversial because people were slipping and sliding all over the field. They were trying to really get the turf down and all that stuff. So, yeah, I forgot about that about this stadium. They do roll it out. They do all the fancy stuff.
Does the national champion come out of this one or the next one?
What do you mean by that?
Does the national champion, are you going to pick the winner of this game or the winner of Indiana and Oregon?
Ooh.
Because chat's doing this argument right now where they're like, guys, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Indiana's going to win the national championship. And then there's some people in here like, Indiana is still fraud.
Well, the way you...
So, like, there's some people that think the other side of the bracket is stronger than this side.
I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Now, and I say that because right now I feel pretty comfortable. I shouldn't say comfortable, but I would put more money, or I would have more confidence in Indiana making and winning the national title than I would Oregon. When it comes to Miami and Ole Miss, one getting to the national title game, I'm already having a hard enough time picking that one. And I can very easily see, and it's just because how both of these quarterbacks are playing and how, like, balanced these two teams are. It's like, especially Miami, like, Oregon's great. Dante Moore has been great. But when you're talking about consistent football, like identifying yourself with what you do the best, I think that Indiana, Ole Miss, and Miami are doing that better right now than Oregon, perhaps.
I mean, we're firm, avid believers in the transient property in college football right here. I mean, we believe in it.
Property.
Transitive, what did I call it? Transient? We believe in the transitive property around here. But if you did, Miami beat Ohio State by more than Indiana did.
Sure did.
On a neutral field. So they must be the better football team.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the transient property tells us.
Yeah, I suppose.
All right, let's get into the Peach Bowl. We'll be flying over there the morning of the 9th. Christian's out there. I mean, how about that? Media availability tonight at 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. out there at the Peach Bowl.
I mean, heck, even if you're on site for that one and you're staying in
Bro,
the
you're
hotel
working
there,
till 2.
Yeah, like It literally said approximately 9:30 p.m. arrival time for whichever one of the teams. I think it was Indiana.
Just slaps.
So that means it's going to be 9:45. You're going to be doing media availability with them until 10:15, and then you got to get all your content out after that. So,
Good luck,
Christian,
guys.
what a soldier you are. Good luck with that one. That sucks.
I mean, could be worse. You could be sitting at home not doing anything. You know,
True.
could be much worse.
For sure.
You could
Or
be
doing something you hate.
or you could be selling software.
Yeah.
You know, or working in construction.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Peach Bowl, Indiana, Oregon. Excited for the rematch. We talked about it last night when we were in the studio. I don't know how much these two teams have changed from a personnel standpoint. I do think they have changed slightly from a stylistic standpoint. I think Oregon's defense has reverted much more to this Tampa 2-3 high safety look that they didn't dust off a lot in that first matchup. Very curious to see if they deploy it against Indiana in this one. And then on the Indiana side, I felt like their offensive line. Now, look, you can call it quality opponent. You can say Alabama's some trash, but I thought their offensive line performed night and day better in that matchup in the Rose Bowl than they did in the first matchup against Oregon. They kind of got it taken to them, in my opinion. Like, you can look at the box score you want. You could say 37 rushes for 115 yards, Brooks. They didn't get stopped all that much in that football game from a run game standpoint. But first three quarters, it was null and void from a run game standpoint. And they kind of leaned on Fernando. I wonder if they can do that again in this one.
Yeah, and an interesting talking point heading into this one, despite the fact that I maybe threw a little bit of shade against Oregon there about 5 minutes ago of there hasn't been someone to beat anybody twice.
He's probably watching right now. You better be careful.
And I'm showing some love to Oregon right now of saying, Alabama beat Georgia in the regular season. Georgia gets their lick back in the postseason play in the SEC championship game. Georgia
I'm going to need my lick back.
Georgia gets their rematch against Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss ends up winning that one. So we haven't seen anybody beat anybody twice. That was a close matchup against Indiana and Oregon the first time. Indiana got the job done on the road. So I don't know. It's a little bit conflicting. I think it'll be a very close game. Like I think the best way to put this game, and I believe you're the one that kind of made this point of, this feels like an NFL football game going into this one. Like, the margins are going to be so tight. Indiana's going to make the possessions matter so much more, especially down the stretch, because it's going to be compressed. It'll be interesting to see, like, which style is going to prevail in this one, because Oregon already kind of like counterpoints what Indiana wants to do, because they're going to be going for it on fourth down. If it's 4th and 3, they're going to be going for it. They're going to be trying and stealing possessions from Indiana. So then it kind of flips the script in Oregon's favor. So I really do think this game is going to boil down to Oregon's success on fourth down, and in the inverse, Indiana's defensive success on fourth down. Like, if you're not getting Oregon off the field, that's a major problem. But Oregon, if you're just turning it over on downs and you're giving them premium field position, that's also going to play into Indiana's hands, because that's what they want you to do. They want to just milk the clock, hold the ball, and make sure your offense stays on the sideline.
I think there are two teams out of these four that are executing at a very consistent and constant rate. And then there are two teams that have these spurts of excellence and then spurts of, ooh, what's going on there? Oregon and Ole Miss being these teams that have these spurts of explosiveness and spurts of, like, oh my God, look how good they are offensively or defensively. Then they kind of have these lulls or moments of lacks of execution. Miami and Indiana feel like anacondas.
Yeah.
They feel like teams that are going to play 65 snaps today, and they're going to beat you on 45 to 65. And in those 20, if you don't create massive explosives, you don't create turnovers, if you don't create problems, you're probably going to get beat. And that's what concerns me about this Indiana-Oregon matchup. It's just the veteran presence on that roster from Indiana. And this is their style of brand of football, Jonathan. They want to play one possession, critical, heavily intensified moments in football games, and they're going to win more of them than you. And that's what they did the first time around. I worry about them, their ability to do so again against Oregon. From Oregon's standpoint, like, if you go watch, I know Texas Tech's defense is great, but guys, there's a 30-play stretch in that football game where Oregon looks absolutely horrible on offense. I mean, really, really bad. Not even like, oh, we're getting beat. Like, we're snapping balls over his head. Yeah. We're throwing balls behind wide receivers. We're putting the ball on the turf. Like, those types of things Indiana does not do. Oh. In fact, they want to shrink the game because they know they're not, and you will. And when you make a mistake in a game that's shrunk, it's almost 2x in terms of the impact of the mistake. So it worries me about this Oregon team because they haven't been clean all year. They've been great.
Yeah.
They've been really, really great, explosive on both sides of the football, but they do have moments of lulls.
Oh,
They
for
have
sure.
moments of offensively and defensively where they can't quite consistently string together great plays. And I felt like that's what got them beat the first time around.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're an Oregon fan, this is probably something that you might be screaming at the stream right now of you guys need to point this out. So I'll go ahead and do it. Of if there is anything that should be pointed out about Oregon heading into this matchup that they didn't necessarily have in the first time around, is they had some really young football players. I mean, that was earlier in the season, Dante Moore, his first year as a starting quarterback. We've talked about the defense, how they got a true freshman corner. He's playing really good for them right now with super impactful football. And they kind of have just figured out how they want to play with their players, like the personnel that they have. They found out where each player thrives. So they're kind of a different football team than they were now. And obviously, football teams are supposed to evolve as the season progresses. So that's not to say that Indiana hasn't done that themselves either. But just talking from a maturation standpoint, like, I mean, DeCorian Moore, despite the fact that he's missed some time this year, he's a more experienced football player than he was the first time around. So, like, I think you might see some. That's like a bigger talking point for Oregon of like what might be different for the Ducks this time around. Well, they're just more experienced at this point.
And when you have a 23-year-old roster like Indiana does, and you have a much younger roster like Oregon does, there's an option for what the analysis you're getting to is these young players have progressed. These older players might be more comfortable,
Yeah.
but it's not like they've gotten much better from a physical standpoint. These young cats over at Oregon might be able to do so. I was kind of taken aback how many homegrown, like high school talents that Oregon's out here winning with. I think they get labeled this transfer portal
mercenary
type of place, mercenary type of program, when they're really half and half. Honestly, I would say they're almost 60-40 now, high school to transfer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like when you start like really breaking down Oregon's recruiting classes over the past couple of years and what they've done in the portal, you go and look at like this year's recruiting class for Oregon, and Dan Lanningham is a perfect example of this, where they get 15 guys out of high school ranks.
All dudes.
But, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 stars in the mix over there. I mean, they're all like top 150 players. I mean, they go super heavy there. They're very selective in what they do. And so it makes sense why it's going to be half and half, because they're going to get some dudes, and those dudes are going to play. And then we're going to fill gaps everywhere else through the transfer portal.
So freaking scenic. I don't have many final thoughts on this football game. It's such a toss-up to me.
Yeah.
I think we see, like, I don't think either one of these offenses go over 400 yards of total offense.
I would be shocked.
Like, I think we look at two quarterbacks that throw for 230-ish yards, two rushing units that rush for 120-ish yards, and we have a 21-17 football game that's one possession at the end of it.
I hope that's how it is. I really do.
I cannot wrap my head around another simulation of this game. Like, last time, it got tilted even further. Like, last time, the Indiana won by 10 and threw a pick 6. That's crazy to me. On the road.
Yeah.
You know, like, they dominated that football game for 4 quarters. But I do feel like, well, 3 quarters, the back end. I do feel like Oregon is a better football team than they were week 6, though.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah.
Who does the second crack favor more?
I mean, I think it always favors the team that lost the first time around, just because. And I can't remember. I was listening to some. Actually, I think it was a woman's basketball player, actually, Audie Crooks, who plays out there for Iowa State.
Big Crooks?
She was talking about how she got asked about, is it actually maybe beneficial that you guys lost earlier in the year? Like, you took a loss now as opposed to maybe you wait later in the year and you take your first loss. And she's like, well, absolutely, because that's where you learn. She's like, if we won today, those turnovers don't matter, those missed shots don't matter. We're not talking about those because we won the game ultimately.
Facts.
Whereas now, like, you're
She be crooking.
You're having you were waiting, weren't you?
She was crooking.
But so you really have to self-analyze yourself really heavily in those losses, and I'm sure that's what Oregon did. And so I think that's why it kind of always favors the team that took a loss the first time around, because you understand what went wrong, what you need to do differently this time. Maybe you find some advantages that you didn't see the first time around. Whereas if you're the winning team, you're like, well, we won the game. I don't know if we really want to change anything because the result was what it was. But also, if we don't change anything, that might lose us this time around. Like, you kind of maybe overthink a lot of things. Whereas the losing team, it's all about, this is where we have to get better. This is where we lost the last game. So I think that's why it always favors the team that loses the first time around.
Chat's hitting on a good point. Starting running back, or at least the bigger and more physical back from Oregon, seems to be out with collarbone issues. So they'll be knocked down. Obviously, they had the transfer from Tulane re-enter the portal, so down 2 bodies, but one of them didn't play all year. The kid
Right.
from Tulane, he didn't get much burn for those guys at all. At this point in the time of the year, though, like you kind of have to be lucky with the injury report. Like
100%.
it is no kind of. You do. You're right, 100%. You have to be lucky from an injury standpoint. I feel like apart from that one back from Oregon, these 4 teams are ironically enough relatively healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Indiana's missing the Daly kid. That's a big loss for them. Like that's really the only significant loss that you could really point to right now between these teams. Like Ole Miss is pretty much healthy outside of Kejuan Lacey. Like he's kind of dealing with the shoulder injury, but it didn't seem to bother him against Georgia, so he seems to be fine. Miami, they seem to be clean as a whistle. I mean, knock on wood, I'll do it for you, Miami fans. Don't mean to jinx anything.
That's
Oregon,
wicker, dog.
well,
It's wicker wood.
I don't know, but metaphor fits right there. So, but yeah, I mean, health matters, and it's showing up with these 4 teams right now. Of like, they didn't really have any significant losses other than again Indiana and the Daly kid.
All right, we are about 10 minutes removed from Ole Miss's media availability. Jonathan, Charlie Weiss Jr. expected to coach in this football game.
Yeah.
But still up in arms with regards to what position coaches are actually going to be here. I don't know if I highly doubt we get any intel on this. Do you think at this point it even matters? These guys are coaching. I feel like these kids have been coaching themselves for 6 weeks.
Well, to me, I almost think it's playing in their favor at this point. I think that these players have taken that identity of we don't care who's here to coach us. We just know that people want to leave us. That's fine. We still believe that we are the national title caliber team that we thought we were entering this. So it doesn't matter who you put on the sidelines. We'll go to war with just Pete Golding on the sideline if that's what it has to be. If it's just Pete Golding with us today, we'll go to war with him and we'll go win a football game. But Charlie Weiss has certainly been a major impact for them throughout the playoffs. I think that's been great for him specifically. Like a spotlight has been put on him. I think he's been living in Lane's shadow a little bit, despite what maybe the truth is. I think the truth is being revealed right now of this guy knows how to call offense and he does a really good job at it.
Man, I didn't feel as if there was ever a moment in that matchup against Georgia where he wasn't in his bag.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the way it almost has to be against a team like Georgia's defense that's going to be as multiple as they are. I don't know if it's going to feel like that against Miami. They kind of line up and play ball.
Yeah.
They got great dudes all over the field. They got 11 great football players, and they let those guys play free. So very curious to see what this matchup looks like. Is there any news? I mean, Dabo's taken every white Power 5 defensive player that there is out of the portal, so that's good. Oh, he got a safety from Old Dominion. Not bad. Got a safety from Old Dominion, too. Sorsby to Texas Tech officially. It looks like Levitt might end up at LSU.
Seems to be.
It looks like Lagway might end up at Baylor.
Yeah.
Ashton Daniels at Florida State.
Aaron Philo officially at Florida.
Aaron Philo officially at Florida, which, by the way, they kept Baugh. They kept Dallas Wilson. They're bringing in Philo.
Got the Bailey Stockton kid.
I was about to say, most importantly, they got Bailey Stockton. You know, everybody needs a 5'7" punt return.
Everybody needs a lunch pail, dude.
You got to lock in. You got to lock in back right there.
Yeah, I guess,
200 grand.
I guess now, the big domino that everybody's waiting for now that you're kind of seeing these transfer quarterbacks find their foreseeable homes is Ty Simpson. What is that guy going to do? Is he going to go to the NFL draft? Is he going to come back to college football? And if he does, it does not sound like it will be with the Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. First of all, Ty, if you're listening, I don't think you should go into the NFL draft this year. But I don't know if 15 starts in the wide choice is what you need either.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, like they completely jacked
Is it
up
his choice, though? Is it Ty Simpson's choice? Because Bama fans are going to act like they ran him out for Keelan Russell.
Everybody's going to steer the
Also,
narrative.
not to act like I know anything about that roster, but what is going on in Tuscaloosa?
I have no idea.
They're burning the boats.
Well,
they're burning the boats with football coaches tweeting about how the boats that they just burned suck.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw that. But Clinton Dix, great football player. Sure, he's a great football coach. Probably shouldn't be tweeting about how the Bama players that hit the portal suck.
I mean, and it's not just like true freshmen that you thought maybe would impact your roster next year. I mean, the guys that are entering the portal right now are guys that have been in that program for multiple years.
Well, you aren't checking tape. You aren't checking tape.
Yeah, I don't check.
You watch the highlights.
You
know.
Just cut up highlight reels over here.
Because James Smith got highlights.
This is the point I would make about Ty Simpson, because I think you're making a great point of, I don't know if we should be going to a wide choice offense. like we talk about how you need a certain number of starts, we need a certain amount of film for you in college before you really know you're a surefire thing going into the NFL draft, where we feel comfortable taking a top 5 pick on you. If he were to go to a wide choice offense, if he goes to Tennessee, wouldn't that just kind of jack up the eval? Because you would have one full season worth of film where he's in a pro style offense with Kalen DeBoer and he's doing all the things that you want him to at the NFL level. And then he goes and plays 12 or 13 more games with the Tennessee Volunteers, and it's a completely different offense. You really wouldn't know which quarterback you were trying to pick or eval. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it would kind of jack it all up.
I think if Ty Simpson is going to Tennessee, it's for $4 million and to play for his in-state school.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but don't tell me it's about trying to win a national title, or don't tell me it's about development, because that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Um,
Just like Brendan Sorsby, the facilities out there at Texas Tech,
good God.
real nice apparently.
Should we talk about the Minchie thing? That was
That's
kind of
weird.
gross.
What that? Yeah, Will Stein getting
Yeah.
some momentum.
Dirty dog, Will Stein. That Will Stein, dirty dog. That Will Stein's out here cutting up. Yeah, but apparently was like supposed to be on a visit to sign physical paperwork with Nebraska, and the agent was like,
We're not doing that anymore.
"No, we got a blank check in Lexington." And Minchie was like, "But it's Lexington." And the guy was like, "I know, but you just spent 2 years in South Bend."
That God, what's his name? Zach Calzada wasn't playing around about that money up there, huh?
Oh, that money spread is
Count it up.
crazy.
Count it up.
All y'all haters on the internet, look at my money spread.
Lexington got it different up there, apparently.
Zach Calzada must have played some AAU football
Had to have.
or basketball.
Had to
Had
have.
to have. The DAP game's way too strong. That money spread looked way too smooth.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To have been his first spread of dollar bills. Highly doubt it was. All right, I'm good. You good?
I think so.
Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. A lot of people watching right now. We appreciate you for being here. This view is so scenic. We'll probably crack another shot at it tomorrow. Don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll figure something out. Love you. Bye.